Welcome to Part 3, Heart of Clans. Trilogy Book 1, Wild Diplomacy. Our story continues. Chapter 9, Lineage. Rayna's POV. I woke before dawn, my stomach twisted in knots that had nothing to do with hunger and everything to do with the fact that in a few hours, 3 ancient panther elders would arrive to dissect whatever I was. Rafe was already awake beside me, staring at the ceiling. Through the bond, I could feel his protective instincts running high, coiled and ready. Second thoughts? He asked quietly. Third and fourth thoughts, I admitted, but not about going through with it. What about then? I rolled onto my side to face him. What if they're right to be afraid? What if there's a reason shifters like me don't exist anymore? Then we figure out how to make it work anyway. His certainty should have been comforting. Instead, it made my chest tight with something that might have been panic. Rafe, what if I'm dangerous? What if being near me puts you and your brothers at risk? Ray. He turned to meet my eyes, his voice firm. Yesterday you told my brothers the truth about what you are. Do you remember what happened? I thought back to Finn's enthusiastic superhero comments, Lars's genuine fascination, both of them immediately accepting me as family. They weren't afraid, I said slowly. They were excited, proud. They think you're incredible. He reached for my hand. That's what family does when they love someone. They stand with them not because it's safe, but because it's right. But what if? No more what ifs. He sat up, pulling me with him. Today we get answers. Real ones. Whatever those answers are, we handle them together. I nodded, trying to push down the anxiety clawing at my ribs. Together. Besides, he added with a slight smile, if you really are some kind of ancient supernatural phenomenon, that just means I have excellent taste in mates. Despite everything, I laughed. You're ridiculous. You love me anyway. I do. And that was the truth that mattered most. Whatever the expert elders discovered, whatever I turned out to be, that wouldn't change. At 8:30, we gathered in the hotel lobby. Fandor had arranged for us to meet the expert elders in a private conference room on the top floor. Neutral territory with enough space for whatever they needed to do. Finn was practically vibrating with curiosity and nervous energy. Lars looked calm but alert. Rafe stayed close to my side, his presence steady and reassuring. You don't all have to come up with me, I said as we waited for the elevator. Yes, we do, Finn said immediately. Pack business, Lars agreed. My mate, my presence, Rafe added firmly. I felt a rush of gratitude so strong it nearly knocked me over. 3 weeks ago, I'd been completely alone. Now I had a family willing to face the unknown with me. The elevator ride to the top floor felt both endless and too short. The conference room was larger than I'd expected, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city and a long wooden table that could seat 20. At the far end, 3 figures waited. The expert elders looked exactly like what you'd expect from ancient archivists. Elderly, dignified, wearing robes in deep earth tones. But their eyes were sharp and alert, taking in every detail as we entered. Alpha Rafe, the center elder said, inclining her head slightly. I am Elder Michaela. These are elders Tobias and Serena. She looked directly at me. And you are the one with no lineage. Not a question. I'm Rayna, I said, proud that my voice came out steady. Rayna with no family name, Elder Tobias observed. No ancestral markers, no traceable bloodline. His tone wasn't unkind, just clinically curious. That's what the archivist found, I confirmed. Elder Serena moved closer, studying my face with unsettling intensity. May I? I nodded, not entirely sure what I was agreeing to. She reached out and placed her palm flat against my forehead. Her touch was cool, and I felt a strange tingling sensation, like static electricity under my skin. Her eyes widened. Multiple energy signatures, she whispered, pulling her hand back. Layered patterns. What does that mean? I asked. Elder Michaela exchanged a sharp look with her companions. It means you carry the essence of more than one animal form. How many? Lars asked, his analytical mind latching onto the specifics. At least 3, Elder Tobias said, circling me slowly like I was a particularly interesting museum exhibit. Wolf, certainly. Raven, definitely. And something else we can't immediately identify. My knees went weak. 3? Possibly more, Elder Serena added, her voice tight with something that might have been alarm. The first test was deceptively simple. Elder Serena placed a crystal sphere on the table in front of me. Place your hands on either side. Don't try to do anything, just maintain contact. I did as instructed. The crystal was warm to the touch, and as soon as my palms made contact, it began to glow with soft white light. Standard shifter energy signature, Elder Tobias murmured, making notes. But as I held the position, the light began to shift and flicker strangely. Multiple colors rippled beneath the surface. Gold, silver, deep green, and something that looked almost like shadows moving. The 3 elders huddled together, whispering urgently. Multiple signatures confirmed, Elder Serena said quietly to her companions. Layered patterns, at least 4 distinct forms. They exchanged looks that made my stomach clench with dread. Continue with Protocol 7, Elder Michaela instructed tersely. The second test involved a different crystal, this one flat like a mirror. When I placed my palm against it, shapes began forming in its surface. Wolf, raven, and something else that flickered too quickly to identify. Then another form, and another, rippling beneath the surface like reflections in disturbed water. The elder's whispers grew more urgent. Unprecedented, I caught Elder Tobias saying. The resonance patterns suggest... Not here. Elder Michaela cut him off sharply. The third test lasted less than 30 seconds before Elder Tobias abruptly pulled the metal instrument away from my arm, his face pale. That's enough, he said curtly. Wait, what? Rafe started. But the elders were already packing their equipment with swift, efficient movements. Hey, Finn protested. You can't just leave. What did you find? Elder Michaela didn't look at any of us as she sealed her leather satchel. The testing is concluded. That's it? I stood up, anger overriding confusion. That's all you're going to tell us? We have what we need, Elder Serena said, avoiding eye contact. What you need for what? Lars demanded. But they were already heading for the door. Wait, I called after them. You can't just walk away. I have a right to know what you found. Elder Tobias paused at the door, but didn't turn around. The results will be communicated through appropriate channels. And then they were gone, leaving us staring at each other in stunned silence. What the hell just happened? Finn asked. Nothing good, Rafe said grimly. I sank back into my chair, my hands shaking. They found something that scared them. Multiple forms, Lars said thoughtfully. At least 4, maybe more. But why run? Finn asked. Why not just tell us? Through the bond, I felt Rafe's growing unease matching my own. Because whatever I am, I said quietly, it's something they think needs to be reported. 3 hours later, my phone rang. Fandor's name on the screen made my heart sink before I even answered. Rayna. His voice was heavy with something that might have been shock. We need to talk. The elders found something, I said. It wasn't a question. Yes, and they've activated protocols none of us knew existed. What kind of protocols? A long pause. The matriarchs have been instructed to confine you pending conclave intervention. The words didn't make sense. Instructed? By who? The matriarchs don't take orders from anyone. That's what we all thought. Fandor's voice was strained. Apparently, we were wrong. My blood went cold. What's a conclave? I don't know. None of us do. It's not in any modern records, but whatever it is, it has authority over the matriarchs. That's impossible. The elders triggered some kind of ancient reporting protocol. They had no choice, Rayna. When they discovered what you are, they were bound by oath to report it. Report what? What did they find? They won't say. Only that you're to be contained until the conclave arrives. Through the bond, Rafe could feel my panic spiking. When? I managed to ask. Soon. I'm sorry, Rayna. There's nothing any of us can do. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, my hands trembling. Ray? Rafe's voice seemed to come from very far away. What did he say? I looked up at him, at Lars and Finn watching with growing alarm. Something called a conclave wants me confined, I said. And apparently they have authority over the panther matriarchs. That's impossible, Lars said immediately. The matriarchs don't answer to anyone. That's what Fandor thought too. Finn was pacing now, his nervous energy filling the room. So what do we do? Before anyone could answer, there was a sharp knock at our hotel room door. Rafe answered it to find Cass and Sen in the hallway, both looking grim and urgent. We need to talk, Cass said without preamble. All of us. Now. They pushed into the room, and I could see the tension radiating from both of them. You heard, I said. We heard the matriarchs got orders from something called a conclave, Sen said. Do you have any idea how impossible that is? Apparently not impossible enough, Lars said dryly. Cass began pacing the small hotel room. No one in our generation has ever heard of a conclave. We had to dig through the oldest archives, the ones kept in the deepest vaults. And, Finn prompted. The conclave isn't Panther authority, Sen said quietly. It's not Wolf authority either. It's something else entirely. What kind of something else? I asked, though I was pretty sure I didn't want to know. Cass stopped pacing and looked directly at me. Ancient authority. Older than any modern shifter government. Older than the treaties, the territories, everything we know. The fragments we found suggest they're the remnants of whatever power structure survived the ancient war, Sen added. They've been dormant for centuries, but certain discoveries can reactivate their protocols. My mouth went dry. Discoveries like me. Discoveries exactly like you. Cass's expression was grave. Rayna, when the Conclave wants someone, there is nothing anyone can do about it. They have authority that supersedes every modern shifter law. What do they want with her? Rafe asked, his voice deadly quiet. Sen and Cass exchanged a look. We don't know, Sen admitted, but based on what little we found in the archives... Based on what? I pressed. The Conclave only activates for threats to shifter survival, Cass said quietly. Things that could endanger our entire species. The room went silent except for the sound of my heart hammering against my ribs. They think I'm dangerous, I whispered. They think you're something that shouldn't exist, Sen corrected. And historically, when the Conclave makes that determination... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. I looked at Rafe, at his brothers, at these Panther shifters who barely knew me but had come to warn me anyway. Then we need to leave. Now. Rayna, Sen started. We can't, Cass said quietly. The matriarchs have been ordered to confine you to Panther territory until the Conclave arrives. My heart sank. What does that mean exactly? It means you can't leave, Sen said. The borders are already being watched. If you try to run, they'll bring you back. By force? Rafe asked, his voice deadly quiet. By any means necessary, Cass confirmed. The matriarchs don't have a choice in this. The Conclave's authority supersedes everything. I sank back into my chair, the brief moment of determination crumbling. So we just... wait? For now, Sen said, until we can figure out more about what the Conclave actually is and what they want. How long do we have? Lars asked. Not long, Cass said. They're mobilizing resources that haven't been used in living memory. When they come for you, it won't be a request. I looked at Rafe, at his brothers, at these Panther shifters who barely knew me but had come to warn me anyway. So we're trapped, I said quietly. We're here with you, Rafe said firmly, taking my hand. Whatever happens, we face it together. All of us, Lars agreed. This is going to be interesting, Finn added, but his usual grin was strained with worry. I felt something settling into place inside my chest. Whatever I was, whatever the Conclave wanted, I wouldn't face it alone. Even if we couldn't run. End of Chapter 9. Chapter 10. Alpha Instinct. Rayna's POV. The moment Cass and Sen left, Rafe exploded into motion. He paced the length of our small hotel room like a caged wolf, his hands clenched into fists, his entire body radiating barely controlled fury and panic. This is unacceptable, he snarled, spinning on his heel to pace back the other direction. They can't just take you. There has to be something we can do. Rafe, I started. No. He whirled to face me, his eyes wild. I won't let some ancient authority that nobody's even heard of decide your fate. I won't let them lock you up or worse because they're afraid of what you might be. Lars and Finn exchanged worried looks. Through the bond, I could feel Rafe's protective instincts spiraling completely out of control, his wolf clawing at the inside of his skin. "We'll figure something out," I said, trying to project calm I didn't feel. "Figure what out?" Rafe's voice cracked. "They have authority over the matriarchs. The fucking matriarchs, Ray. Do you understand what that means?" "It means we're dealing with something bigger than we thought," Lars said carefully. "But panicking won't help." "I'm not panicking," Rafe snapped, then immediately resumed his frantic pacing. "I'm strategizing." Finn snorted. "That's not what strategizing looks like." "Shut up, Finn." "Rafe." I stood up and moved into his path, forcing him to stop. "Look at me." He did, and the raw fear in his eyes made my chest ache. "We're going to get through this," I said firmly. "Together, but you falling apart won't help anyone." "I can't lose you." His voice was barely a whisper. "I just found you. I can't." "You won't lose me." "You don't know that. You don't know what they're capable of." Before I could respond, there was another knock at the door. This time it was Sen, alone. "I spoke with my parents," she said without preamble as Rafe let her in. "They're willing to offer royal protection." "What does that mean?" I asked. "Royal escort to the Panther capital. Luxury accommodations under royal guard. My parents have significant influence with the matriarchs. They might be able to negotiate better terms for whatever's coming." Rafe stopped pacing. "Better terms?" "Comfortable confinement instead of a cell. Legal representation. Due process if such a thing exists for conclave proceedings." "It's something," Lars said thoughtfully. "It's not enough," Rafe said flatly. "Royal protection or not, she'd still be their prisoner." Sen's expression was sympathetic but firm. "It might be the best option available." "No." Rafe resumed pacing with renewed intensity. "There has to be another way." 20 minutes later, Finn had apparently reached his limit of watching his brother self-destruct. "Okay, that's it," he announced, standing up abruptly. "Lars and I are getting you out of the country." Everyone stared at him. "Excuse me?" I said. "Smuggling operation," Finn continued, warming to his theme. "Lars has contacts in the tech world who owe him favors. I know people who can get fake documents. We get you across the border, disappear you somewhere the conclave can't reach." "Finn," Lars started. "It could work," Finn insisted. "We've got maybe 12 hours before they tighten security. Hit the border fast. Get lost in the human world." "And then what?" I asked. "I spend the rest of my life hiding? Never shifting, never being myself? Better than whatever the conclave has planned." Rafe had stopped pacing again, considering. "It's not impossible." "It's completely impossible," Sen said firmly. "The matriarchs have already locked down the borders. Every crossing point is being watched." "Then we make our own crossing point," Finn said stubbornly. "Through what, the wilderness?" Sen shook her head. "They'll have trackers, Finn. Shifter trackers. You'd never make it." "We have to try something." "No," I said quietly. "We don't." Everyone turned to look at me. "I won't spend my life running," I continued. "And I won't let you all throw your lives away trying to save me from something we don't even understand yet." "Rayna," Rafe started. "I mean it. No smuggling, no fake documents, no desperate border crossings." Finn slumped back into his chair, defeated. Rafe looked like he wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. That's when my phone rang again. Fandor. "I have a proposition," he said without preamble when I answered. "I'm listening." "There's a safe house. Remote location in the Panther Mountains, about 4 hours from the capital. Defensible position. Off the main roads. And I can arrange to fake a transport for you to the main Panther territory as ordered. But instead of delivering you to the matriarchs, I take you to the safe house. You, Rafe, whoever else you want to bring." I felt a spark of hope. "For how long?" "As long as it takes to figure out a real plan. The conclave will expect you to be in official custody, but it'll take them time to organize and travel. This buys you breathing room." "Why would you do this?" I asked. A long pause. "Because this is my fault. I'm the one who insisted on the expert evaluation. I'm the one who set this whole thing in motion." His voice was heavy with guilt. "I owe you a chance to figure out your own fate." I looked at Rafe, who had gone completely still, listening to every word. "What's the catch?" I asked. "No catch. Just, when the time comes, when they do find you, you'll have to face whatever's coming. This isn't a permanent solution. But it gives us options. It gives you time to make better options." I met Rafe's eyes. Through the bond, I felt his desperate hope warring with his need to protect me. "The safe house," I said to Fandor. "How secure is it?" "Secure enough. Mountain location, single access road, good sightlines. If you decide you need to run, you'll have warning. And if we decide to fight? Then you'll have the high ground." Rafe was nodding slowly, his tactical mind engaging with the possibilities. "When?" I asked. "Tonight. I'll pick you up at midnight, make it look like official transport. We'll be at the safe house by dawn." I looked around the room at Rafe, his brothers, Sen, all of them watching me with varying degrees of hope and worry. "Okay," I said. "We'll do it." "All of us," Rafe said immediately. "All of us," I confirmed. After I hung up, the room was quiet for a long moment. "It's not a perfect solution," Lars said finally. "But it's better than sitting here waiting to be collected," Finn added. "It gives us agency," Rafe said, and I could see some of the frantic energy leaving his posture. "Time to plan, to prepare, to figure out what we're really dealing with." "And if we can't figure out a way to beat this?" Sen asked. I thought about that for a moment, about the conclave and their ancient authority, about whatever I was that scared expert elders into triggering protocols nobody knew existed. "Then at least we'll face it on our own terms," I said. Rafe moved to my side, taking my hand. "Together." "Together," I agreed. Through the bond, I felt his determination settling into something calmer, more focused. The panic was still there, but underneath it was the steady resolve that made him an alpha. "So we pack light and wait for midnight," Lars said practically. "And hope Fandor's safe house is as secure as he claims," Finn added. "And hope we can figure out a plan before the conclave figures out where we are," Sen finished. I squeezed Rafe's hand, drawing strength from his solid presence beside me. "One step at a time," I said. "First, we get to the mountains. Then we figure out how to fight back." At 11:45 p.m., we were packed and ready. 3 small bags between all of us. Everything we owned that mattered fit into 3 bags. Sen had decided to come with us, despite my protests that she was risking her own safety. "My parents will understand," she'd said firmly, "and you'll need someone who knows Panther politics if this goes sideways." Now we waited in the hotel lobby, trying to look casual while my heart hammered against my ribs. At exactly midnight, a black SUV pulled up outside. Fandor got out, looking every inch the official Panther authority in his formal jacket and grim expression. "Showtime," he said as we approached. "From this moment on, you're in official custody being transported to the capital for conclave proceedings." "And if someone stops us?" Rafe asked. "They won't. I have the proper authorizations." Fandor's smile was sharp. The beauty of ancient protocols is that nobody knows exactly how they're supposed to work. We climbed into the SUV, and as Fandor pulled away from the hotel, I felt something shifting inside me. Not my wolf or raven. Something deeper. Something that had been sleeping was starting to wake up. Through the bond, I felt Rafe's awareness of the change, his protective instincts sharpening in response. "You okay?" he asked quietly. I looked out the window at the city lights giving way to darkness as we headed toward the mountains. "I think so," I said. I think whatever's coming, I'm ready for it." "We're ready for it," he corrected. I leaned against his shoulder, drawing comfort from his warmth and strength. "We're ready," I agreed. Behind us, the city disappeared into the night. Ahead, the mountains waited with their promise of temporary safety and time to prepare for whatever the conclave had planned. Whatever I was, whatever they wanted, we'd face it together. And maybe, just maybe, we'd find a way to win. End of Chapter 10.
Chapter 11. The Vow. Rafe's POV. 3 days. 3 days we'd been hidden in Fandor's mountain safe house, and I'd barely let Rayna out of my sight for more than a few minutes. The compound was secure, defensible position, single access road, good sight lines in every direction. My brothers had taken to the tactical planning like they were born for it. Lars currently walking the perimeter for the third time today, while Finn checked and rechecked our supply inventory. Sen and Cass had thrown themselves into research in the previous days, and now Cass sat at the kitchen table cleaning weapons with methodical precision. Nikita had arrived yesterday with additional supplies and 3 more Panther guards, all of them loyal to Fandor and willing to risk their necks for a woman they barely knew. She was currently reviewing guard rotation schedules with one of the Panthers. Everyone was doing something. Staying busy, staying ready. Everyone except Rayna. I watched her now, curled in the chair by the window, staring out at the mountain landscape with exhausted eyes. 4 nights of minimal sleep, constant vigilance, the weight of knowing something older than recorded history wanted to examine her like a lab specimen. She should feel safe here. We were surrounded by allies, protected by geography and Fandor's political maneuvering. But I could feel her exhaustion through the bond, the way fear had settled into her bones despite our temporary security. "Ray," I said quietly, not wanting to disturb the others. "You need to sleep." She turned to look at me, and the shadows under her eyes made my chest ache. "I know," she said. Every time I close my eyes, I keep thinking they'll find us. They won't. Not here." "You don't know that." She was right, and we both knew it. But watching her slowly destroy herself with worry wasn't helping anyone. "Come on." I stood up, extending my hand. "At least try to rest. I'll stay with you." She looked at my hand for a long moment, then took it, letting me pull her to her feet. "Promise you won't leave?" she asked as we headed toward the bedroom. "I promise. I'm not going anywhere."
The bed was comfortable, the room quiet except for the distant murmur of voices from the main room where Finn was probably reorganizing supplies for the 4th time. Rafe's arms were solid and warm around me, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. Through the bond, I could feel his determination to protect me, his absolute refusal to let anything happen to me. It should have been comforting. Instead, it made the fear worse. Because if the Conclave was everything Cass and Sen had discovered, if they really had authority that superseded every modern shifter law, then Rafe's protection might not be enough. "Sleep, love," he murmured against my hair. "I've got you." I wanted to argue, to point out that having me didn't mean he could stop ancient powers from taking me. But the exhaustion was finally winning, pulling me down despite my fear. "Don't let go," I whispered. "Never." I closed my eyes, letting his heartbeat lull me toward sleep. The bond hummed peacefully between us, and for the first time in days, I felt safe enough to let my guard down. I shouldn't have. The dream began the way they always did. Forest, moonlight, the familiar pull of my wolf wanting to run free. But something was wrong. The forest was too still, too perfect. No wind moved the leaves, no night creatures stirred in the underbrush. Everything was frozen. I tried to shift, felt my wolf form materializing, but it was sluggish, like moving through honey. The world around me had crystallized, caught between one moment and the next. That's when I realized what had happened. Time had stopped, not just slowed, completely stopped, and I was the only thing still moving in a world of perfect stillness. Finally. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, ancient and resonant like continents grinding together. Figures appeared in the frozen landscape, not walking, simply there. 5 elders, ancient beyond measure, with eyes like deep space. My wolf surged forward instinctively, and I let her. If they wanted a fight, I'd give them one. I lunged, and passed right through them like they were made of smoke. "Physical force is meaningless here," the oldest one said, almost bored. "This is a place between moments, between breaths. You cannot harm what exists outside your dimension." I spun, tried again. Same result. My claws met nothing but air. "You can't keep me here," I snarled, letting my wolf's fury bleed into my voice. "Can't we?" The oldest elder's voice carried the weight of millennia. "We exist outside your time, outside your bonds. Here, you are subject. Nothing more." I reached for Rafe through the bond, trying to pull him into this frozen space, trying to anchor myself to something real. The bond stretched but didn't connect, like shouting into a void. He cannot reach you here, another elder said. No one can. Panic clawed at my throat, but I forced it down. Defiance wasn't working. Brute force wasn't working. Time to try something else. What do you want? I asked, shifting back to human form, trying to sound calm and reasonable. They circled me, not touching but assessing, and I felt my form shifting involuntarily. Wolf, raven, something serpentine I didn't recognize. Form cycling through me without my permission. We see what you truly are, the oldest said. And what am I? Silence. Interesting. Why did you bring me here? I tried. To understand the threat you pose. What threat? You are unprecedented, one of the others interrupted. Multi-form shifter. Bridge between species. How many forms can you take? Another asked. I opened my mouth to answer, then stopped. I didn't actually know. I'm not sure. Wolf and Raven for certain, maybe others. More silence, but this time it felt different. Heavier. How did you become this way? The oldest asked. I don't know. I was born like this, I think. My grandfather... Your lineage, one interrupted sharply. Who were your parents? I don't know. My grandfather never... Where did you come from? What is your purpose? The questions came faster now, overlapping, and I realized they were looking for something specific. Some answer that would tell them... What? I don't have a purpose, I said carefully. I'm just trying to live my life. Multi-form shifters don't simply exist, the oldest said. They emerge for a reason. They serve a function in the natural order. What function? Silence again, the kind that screamed refusal to answer. I filed that away and tried a different angle. How many others like me are there? You are the first we've encountered in... The oldest paused. A very long time. How long? No answer. Centuries? I pressed. Millennia? Still nothing. But one of the younger elders shifted slightly, and I caught something in his expression. Not quite fear, but close. What happened to the others? I asked softly. The ones like me who came before? That is not your concern. It is if you're planning to do the same thing to me. We want you to not exist, the oldest said flatly. The words hit like a physical blow, but I forced myself to stay calm, to think. But you haven't killed me, I pointed out. You could have. You have me completely at your mercy here, but I'm still breathing. Why? Their silence was answer enough. You can't kill me, I said slowly, testing the theory. Can you? Your existence threatens the balance we've maintained for millennia. That's not an answer. I took a step closer to the oldest elder. You want me to not exist, but you can't make that happen. So what do you really want? More silence. But I was learning to read it now. The way they exchanged glances, the careful way they chose their words. You want me to choose not to exist, I said. You want me to suppress what I am, to never develop my abilities, to stay dormant. The oldest elder's expression didn't change, but something flickered in those ancient eyes. Multi-form shifters destabilize everything, another said carefully. They blur the boundaries between species. They what? I demanded. What are you so afraid of? We are not afraid. Yes, you are. The certainty settled in my bones. You're terrified of what I could become. The frustration was building now, hot and sharp under my skin. All these cryptic non-answers, all this dancing around the truth. They had me trapped in frozen time, completely at their mercy, and they were still playing games. Just tell me what you want, I snapped. And that's when I felt it. Scales. Merging along my arms, my neck, shimmering with iridescent light. A form I'd never accessed, never even knew existed, rising to the surface in response to my anger. The elder's eyes widened. What if I vowed to never shift again? The words tumbled out before I'd fully thought them through, desperate to stop whatever was happening to my skin. What if I promised to stay human, stay suppressed, never explore what I could become? You would abandon your nature entirely? The oldest asked, but his voice had changed. Urgent now, almost eager. To keep the people I love safe? Yes. The scales were still spreading, and I could feel something larger trying to emerge. What if I swore to live as nothing more than a human mate bonded to a shifter? No shifting, no exploring, no evolving. Just dormant, forever. The elders exchanged looks, quick, almost panicked. "If you break this vow," one began. "I won't," I said firmly, forcing the scales back down through sheer will. "I'll live as human, nothing more." "We will know if you shift," the oldest said quickly. Too quickly. "We will mark you. The mark will alert us to any transformation." "Fine, mark me. I don't care. Just let me go home. Let me live in peace." They moved as one, the oldest stepping forward to press his palm against my forehead. I braced for pain, for the burn of magic. Nothing. Just the sensation of a touch, then his hand was gone. "It is done," he said. "You are bound. You are human now. Nothing more." And before I could respond, before I could ask any more questions, they simply weren't there anymore. The frozen forest began to dissolve around me, time resuming its normal flow, and I was yanked back through dimensions into Rafe's arms, his heartbeat resuming beneath my ear like no time had passed at all. But something had changed. Through the bond, I felt his consciousness stirring, like he was waking from his own dream. He'd been there somehow. Not physically, but present. I gasped awake, the weight of what I'd just promised settling on my chest like a stone. "Rayna?" His voice was rough, strained. What was that?" Through the bond, urgent and silent. "They came for me. I made a vow. I can never shift again." His body went rigid with understanding and alarm. Through our connection, I felt the echo of what he'd experienced. My fear, my frustration, the sensation of something powerful trying to emerge before I'd locked it away. Out loud, I said, "Just a dream. I'm fine." But we both knew I wasn't fine. I'd just sacrificed everything I was to keep everyone safe. His arms tightened around me, and through the bond I felt his anguish mixing with his fierce protectiveness. He understood the cost of what I'd done. "Sleep," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "We'll figure this out." But I lay awake staring at the ceiling, one hand drifting to my forehead where the elder had touched me. There was something there now. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. A mark, a brand, a promise I couldn't break. Or so they wanted me to believe.
Rafe's POV. Dawn broke normal as ever, but everything had changed. I'd barely slept after Rayna's dream, vision, whatever the hell that had been. Through the bond, I'd felt echoes of it. The frozen time, the ancient presences, her desperate bargain, and something else. Something powerful trying to emerge from her before she'd locked it away. She moved through the morning routine like someone sleepwalking, and I could feel the hollow ache where her connection to her wolf and raven used to be. She'd locked them away so deep they might as well not exist. But there was something on her forehead now. A faint blue light in the shape of a third eye, visible to anyone who looked at her. The mark they'd given her. Lars noticed it first when we emerged from the bedroom. "Rayna, what's on your—" "Don't," I said quietly, and something in my voice made him stop. Finn looked up from his supply checklist, saw the mark, and his face went pale. That's when Fandor's phone rang. His face showed confusion as he answered, then something like bewilderment. "The conclave," he said, and everyone in the room went still. I moved closer to Rayna, wrapping my arm around her waist. Fandor paused, reading. "They've withdrawn their claim. Completely. No examination necessary." "What?" Sen asked sharply from where she'd been reviewing notes with Cass. "Subject reclassified as human mate bonded to shifter. No inherent shifter abilities detected. Outside conclave jurisdiction. Claim withdrawn permanently." I felt Rayna's bitter satisfaction through the bond. She'd given them exactly what they wanted. A promise that she'd never be more than human. "That's it?" Finn asked. "They're just done?" Apparently. Fandor was still staring at his phone. "It's like they don't consider her a shifter at all anymore." Because she isn't, I thought grimly. She'd locked away everything that made her what she was. So we can go home? Rayna asked quietly. You can go anywhere you want, Fandor said. As far as they're concerned, you're just human now. As everyone celebrated around us, relief and confusion mixing in equal measure, I pulled Rayna closer, feeling the emptiness where her wild spirits used to dance. The blue mark on her forehead pulsed faintly, and I wondered if it was real magic or just another lie from beings who ruled through fear rather than power. We'll find another way, I whispered against her ear. She leaned into me, her voice barely audible. There is no other way. This is what I am now. Just human, just mate-bonded, just less than she was meant to be. But as I held her, feeling the bond between us still strong despite everything, an idea began to form. A dangerous, impossible idea that would require every ally we'd made, every connection we had, every ounce of political capital I could leverage. If the Conclave ruled through fear and ancient authority, then maybe it was time someone challenged that authority. Maybe it was time the shifter world learned the truth about the beings who claimed to govern them. Ready to go home? I asked, though home felt like a hollow concept now. Yes, she said simply. There's nothing left for me to become anyway. I looked at the blue mark on her forehead, the symbol of her sacrifice, her cage, her promise. And I began planning how to break it. End chapter 11. Chapter 12. The Heart of All Clans. Rafe's POV. The dream started the night the Conclave came for her. At first I thought I was just having nightmares about what she'd sacrificed. But then I realized I wasn't dreaming about her. I was dreaming with her. It's not completely unheard of for fated mates to share dreams during critical circumstances. Times of extreme stress or danger can open pathways between bonded pairs that allow them to meet in the dream space. But those moments are rare, fleeting. With Rayna and me, it happened every single night. I'd fall asleep and find myself in her dreamscape. Vast forests that stretched beyond horizon, skies that shifted between day and night in heartbeats, landscapes that felt more real than waking life. And there she was, running free in forms I'd never seen her take while awake. Wolf, yes. Raven, of course. But also serpentine grace that moved through water like it was air. Wings made of light that caught starfire. Something ancient and powerful that walked between shadows, neither fully present nor fully gone. She was getting stronger. Every night, more powerful, more herself. And she was inviting me in, though I don't think she realized it. Through our bond, I could feel her reaching for me in her sleep, pulling me into her dreams, because some part of her was desperate to share this with someone. To not be completely alone in the only place she could still be what she truly was. Through our mate bond, I felt everything. The exhilaration of wind under wings, the joy of serpentine movement through water, the power thrumming through forms I had no name for. I couldn't physically experience feathers or scales, couldn't see through her eyes, but I felt her emotions, her stress, her wonder at what she was becoming. And I saw flashes of what was to come. Simple things, mostly. Prophetic glimpses that came to her unbidden. 3 nights ago, she dreamed Lars would hurt his wrist sparring with Finn. I warned them the next morning. Lars laughed it off, then broke his wrist an hour later during their session. Through our bond, I felt Rayna's panic spike even though she was asleep. Felt her knowing he needed medical care before I'd even gotten the call. But then came the big vision. It hit us both like a lightning strike 3 weeks after we'd returned home from the safe house. We were running together through her dreamscape, me in my wolf form, her shifting between Raven and something else, when the world suddenly fractured. Images flooded through our bond, violent and undeniable. Rayna, surrounded by clan leaders, each one placing a hand on her shoulder. The blue mark on her forehead cracking, then shattering like glass. A voice, ancient and terrible, screaming, "She is claimed, she is protected, she is of all, and belongs to none." And then darkness, safety, a fortress built not of stone, but of allegiance. I woke gasping. Rayna still asleep beside me, but restless. Through the bond, I felt her confusion. She knew she'd seen something important, but the details were already slipping away, as dreams do when the sun rises. But I remembered. Every detail, every implication. The Conclave hadn't truly released her. The mark on her forehead was a leash, not a pardon. They were waiting for her to break her vow, to shift even once, and then they would descend with whatever ancient punishment they had planned for multiform shifters. But the vision showed me the loophole. If she became citizen to all clans, wolf, panther, bear, raven, every major shifter species, if they claimed her as pack, as family, as theirs, then the Conclave's authority would be broken. Not challenged, not defeated, simply irrelevant. Because the Conclave's power derived from governing shifters who existed between territories, between species.
Yep.
But if Rayna belonged to everyone, she belonged to no single jurisdiction. She would become a walking treaty, a living bridge, untouchable by any one authority because she answered to all of them. I lay there until dawn, watching her sleep, feeling the weight of the blue mark on her forehead like a brand. She couldn't know. If she knew, she'd try to stop it. She'd insist on keeping her vow, on staying small and safe and suppressed. She'd refuse to let anyone risk their standing with the Conclave for her sake. And worse, if she knew, she might see it coming. Her prophetic dreams would show her the ceremony, and she'd find reasons to avoid it, to protect everyone else from the danger she represented. So I did the hardest thing I'd ever done with our bond. I walled it off. Not completely. I couldn't sever what fated mates shared. But I could cloud it, keep my intentions murky. When I thought about the plan, I layered those thoughts with static, with deliberate confusion, masking my intentions even as we moved through our days together. I let her feel my love, my concern, my determination, but I hid the specifics behind a veil of protective instinct. It made her anxious. I could feel her sensing that I was planning something, that I was keeping secrets. But she trusted me enough not to push, and I used that trust to build her salvation. The next morning, I called Cass. "I need your help," I said when my brother answered. "Anne sends, but Rayna can't know, not until it's done." Cass was quiet for a long moment. "What are we doing?" "Arranging a ceremony. Not a wedding, something older. The heart of all clans." "That's myth," Cass said. "Legends. No one's done that in centuries," I finished. "I know, but it was real, and it can be real again." I told him about the dream, about the vision, about how citizenship in all clans would weave a net of protection so complex that the Conclave couldn't touch her without declaring war on every shifter territory simultaneously. "You saw this?" Cass asked, his voice tight. "In her dreams?" "I saw it, and I felt it. If we do this, Cass, if we get every clan leader to publicly claim her as their own, the Conclave's mark will break. Not because we fight them, because we make her untouchable by making her belong to everyone." "And Sen?" "Her parents are Panther royalty. They can convene the gathering. They can make it official. But it has to happen soon. The Conclave is watching, waiting for her to slip." Another pause. Then, "I'll talk to Senator. We'll make the arrangements. But Rafe, if this goes wrong, if the Conclave decides to test our resolve, then every clan goes to war for her," I said simply. "But they won't. Because we won't give them warning. We assemble the leaders quietly. We bring her there unaware, and we do it before they can react." "You're asking her to accept protection she didn't ask for," Cass pointed out. "I'm asking her to live," I snapped. "She's dying, Cass. Slowly. Every day she keeps that vow, another piece of her soul crumbles. This isn't just about the Conclave. It's about giving her permission to be what she is, to stop hiding." "Okay," Cass said quietly. "Okay, we'll arrange it. 2 weeks. Sen's parents can host under the guise of a diplomatic summit, neutral ground. We invite the bears, the mountain lions, the ravens, everyone who owes us debts, everyone who respects what Rayna built." "Tell them the truth," I said. Tell them if they don't stand with her, the conclave will come for the rest of us eventually. Tell them Heart of all Clans isn't just a title. It's a shield. I'll tell them, Cass promised. But Rafe, when she finds out you planned this behind her back... She'll forgive me, I said, hoping it was true. Or she won't, but she'll be alive to hate me.
Rayna's POV. 2 weeks later, I stood in the Great Hall of the Panther capital, surrounded by more clan leaders than I'd ever seen in one place, and wondered what the hell was happening. It was supposed to be a diplomatic summit, a quiet meeting to discuss trade routes and territorial boundaries. Rafe had told me we needed to make an appearance to normalize our presence after the conclave incident. I'd agreed because I'd been having dreams, unsettling dreams of standing in a circle of strangers, of hands on my shoulders, of the blue mark on my forehead burning and then releasing. But I dismissed them. Just my subconscious wishing for freedom, wishing for the impossible. Now, looking around at the assembled power in this room, I realized I'd been blind. The bear alpha from the northern mountains, the mountain lion matriarch, 3 raven elders, their black eyes gleaming with intelligence, wolf alphas from territories I'd negotiated with over the years, and the Panther King and Queen themselves, standing at the center of the hall with the Sen and Cass flanking them. Rafe, I whispered, clutching his hand. What's going on? Why are they all looking at me? He turned to me, and through our bond I felt static. A wall. He was hiding something from me, had been hiding it for days, and I'd been too exhausted, too sunk in my own depression to push past it. I saw it in your dreams, he said quietly, for my ears alone. The protection, the citizenship. I saw that if they all claimed you, the conclave couldn't touch you. I saw that you needed to belong to everyone so that no one could own you. My blood ran cold. You saw what? The future, Rayna. Your future, our future. He raised his voice, addressing the room. You all know why you're here. You know what she sacrificed to keep the conclave from your doorsteps. You know what she is, what she could be if she weren't bound by a vow made under duress. The king stepped forward. Rayna, you have spent your career walking between our worlds, building bridges where there were only walls, negotiating treaties that brought former enemies together as allies. You have proven yourself friend to all clans, the bear alpha called out, trusted by all species. But more than that, the mountain lion matriarch added, you have shown us what unity looks like. You, who carry the essence of many, have taught us to see past our divisions. I was trembling now. Rafe, I can't. I made a vow. If I accept this, if I let you do this, the conclave will... The conclave will what? Rafe asked, and his voice hard. Come for you? They already did. They marked you. They think they've won. But they don't understand what happens when a people decide to protect one of their own. He turned to the assembled leaders. She is Pack, he said, his voice carrying the weight of his alpha authority. She is family. She is Bridge and Bond and Bridgewalker. And I ask you now, do you claim her? One by one, they stepped forward. The bear alpha was first. He placed a massive hand on my shoulder, his grip grounding and warm. Bear Clan claims you as daughter. Our caves are your caves. Our strength, your strength. The Mountain Lion matriarch came next, her movements liquid grace. Mountain Lion Clan names you sister. Our peaks are your peaks. Our stealth, your protection. The Raven elders circled me, their voices like wind through feathers. Raven Clan claims you as kin. Our skies are your skies. Our sight, your vision. Wolf alphas I had worked with, negotiated with, fought beside. They came forward, each one pressing their forehead to mine in the ancient greeting of Pack. Wolf Clan claims you. They said in unison, our runs are your runs. Our howls, your song. Finally, the Panther King and Queen. They didn't just place hands on my shoulders. They knelt. Panther Clan names you Heart of all Clans, the king declared, his voice resonating through the hall. Not subject, not vassal, but the living center of our unity. Our jungle is your jungle, our throne, your shelter. As each claim was made, I felt something shifting inside me. The blue mark on my forehead, the conclave's brand, began to burn, not with pain but with heat, pressure. Through the bond, I felt Rafe's fierce triumph, his love, his absolute certainty. You see? He whispered. You belong to everyone now. They can't take what isn't theirs alone. The burning intensified. I gasped, reaching up to touch my forehead. The blue light flared blindingly bright, then shattered. I felt it crack, felt the vow break not because I had betrayed it, but because it had become obsolete. The conclave had demanded I be human, be small, be solitary, but I was no longer solitary. I was no longer just one thing, claimed by no one. I was heart of all clans. Power rushed back into me like a flood. My wolf surged forward, my raven screamed in my mind, and that third form, that serpentine, ancient thing, uncoiled with a sense of rightness that made my knees weak. I shifted, all at once. Not from one form to another, but somehow. All of them. My body flickered between wolf and raven and serpent and human, finally settling into a state I'd never achieved before. Fully present, fully powerful, fully me. The clan leaders didn't flinch. They surrounded me, a wall of fur and feather and scale and skin, and I felt their protection like armor. You did this, I said to Rafe. My voice layered with multiple tones. Human and beast and something older. You saw it, you planned it, you lied to me. I protected you, he said, stepping into the circle with me. I did what you would never let me do if I'd asked. I gave you back to yourself. You manipulated me. I saved you. We stared at each other, the bond between us vibrating with tension. He'd kept secrets. He'd used my own dreams against me, hiding his plans in the static of our connection so I wouldn't see the future he was building. But I was free. For the first time in weeks, I could feel my other forms without fear. The conclave's mark was gone, replaced by something stronger, the collective claim of every major shifter clan. They'll come for you, I said, my voice breaking. For arranging this, for defying them. Let them come, the bear alpha growled. We stand together, the panther queen said. Rafe took my hands that were currently shifting between claws and fingers and talons, unable to settle, drunk on freedom. I saw the future, Rayna. I saw that this was the only way, and I chose it. Even if you hate me for the lie, I chose it. I looked at him, at my mate, my partner, the man who had watched me wither and had refused to accept it, who had schemed and plotted and brought kingdoms to their knees to set me free. I don't hate you, I whispered. Then louder, I don't hate you. I love you. You impossible, manipulative, wonderful wolf. I kissed him, and through the bond I felt his walls come down. All his fear, his planning, his desperate hope, it poured into me, mingling with my own relief and terror and joy. When we broke apart, the clan leaders were smiling, some with teeth, some with warmth, all with satisfaction. Heart of all clans, the king said. Welcome home.
Rafe's POV. Do you know how hard it is to plan a romantic proposal when your mate can dream the future? Impossible. Utterly impossible. I'd already used up my one grand deception with the Heart of Clans ceremony. Rayna had forgiven me, mostly, but she'd also started paying much closer attention to our bond. She'd learned to read the static, to sense when I was hiding something behind those protective walls. And she was getting better at controlling her prophetic dreams, better at remembering them, which made planning a surprise proposal approximately as difficult as sneaking up on a raven shifter. But I had an advantage. She might see the future, but she couldn't see what she wasn't looking for. And I'd learned to hide my intentions in plain sight, by feeling exactly what I always felt when I looked at her. Love. Desire. The constant, overwhelming certainty that I wanted to spend my life with her. The ring had been Nikita's idea, a stone that changed color with the light, like Rayna's eyes, like her shifting forms. I'd carried it for a month, waiting for the right moment. The right moment, apparently, was a Tuesday. Not a full moon, not an anniversary, not after some grand battle or diplomatic victory. Just a Tuesday. We'd gone for a run in the woods behind our new home, a territory that had been gifted to us by 3 different clans, overlapping in a way that would have given the old surveyors headaches. The borderlands, they called it now. Neutral ground where Heart of all clans lived with her mate. We were lying in a meadow, catching our breath after racing each other. Rayna was in human form, her head on my chest, her fingers tracing patterns on my arm. "You're being suspiciously quiet," she murmured. "Just happy. You've been happy all day, even when I beat you to the river. You cheated. You flew the last 100 yards. I shifted. That's not cheating. That's using my abilities." I smiled, staring up at the clouds. "I love you." "I know. You radiate it constantly. It's very distracting." "Is it?" Makes it hard to concentrate on being mad at you for that stunt with the clan ceremony." "Are you still mad?" She propped herself up on her elbow, looking down at me. Her eyes were green today, flecked with gold. "No, I understand why you did it. I would have tried to stop you. I would have been wrong." "You would have been protective," I corrected. "Like I was." "Like you were," she agreed. She leaned down to kiss me, soft and sweet. And while she was distracted, while her guard was down and her prophetic senses were probably showing her nothing more interesting than what we were having for dinner, I reached into my pocket. "Rayna?" I said when she pulled back. "Marry me, not because the bond says we're fated, not because the clans demand it. Marry me because I choose you. Every day, every form, every impossible future you see, and every one you don't." I held up the ring. She went very still. Through the bond, I felt her shock, genuine, unfiltered surprise. She hadn't seen this. She really, truly hadn't seen it. "You," she whispered. "When? How?" "Tuesday," I said. "The most boring day of the week. You never look at Tuesdays." She laughed, the sound bright and startled and perfect. "You planned it for a Tuesday?" "I planned it for the day you wouldn't expect. The day you'd be looking at the clouds instead of the future." She looked at the ring, blue-green stone, shifting colors in the afternoon light. Then at me. Then back at the ring. "Yes," she said. "Just like that?" "You surprised me, Rafe. You actually surprised me. After everything, after the dreams and the bond and the ceremony." She took the ring and slid it onto her own finger, then pressed her hand to my chest, right over my heart. "Yes, on a Tuesday. Yes." I kissed her, and through the bond, I felt her joy. Not the wild, desperate relief of the Heart of Clans ceremony, but something quieter, deeper. The happiness of a woman who had finally, truly, been surprised by love. We lay there for hours, planning nothing, dreaming nothing, just being. And when the sun set, painting the meadow in gold and violet, she shifted into her raven form and flew lazy circles above me, the ring glinting on her talon, while I howled my happiness to the sky. She was free. She was mine. She was impossible. And she was home. We stood on the balcony overlooking the jungle canopy, her hand in mine, the ring catching moonlight. Below us, the celebration still raged, wolves howling alongside panthers, bears dancing with ravens, a unity that hadn't existed since before the ancient war. Rayna leaned into my shoulder, finally at peace. Or so I thought. Then she stiffened. Through the bond, ice flooded my veins. Not fear foresight, the same sensation I'd felt when I'd watched her dreams, but stronger, sharper. The future crashing into the present without warning. "Rafe," her voice was barely breath. "They're not gone." I turned to find her staring at the stars, her eyes wide and white, seeing something beyond the sky. The conclave. They know what we did. They're retreating, regrouping. She shuddered. And they're not alone. The mark on her forehead had shattered, but now I saw what remained. Not blue light, but a scar. A silver line in the shape of an eye, closed, but not gone. "What do you see?" I asked, though part of me already knew. This wasn't the end of our story. It was the beginning. "I see shadows moving in the deep places." Her voice layered, distant, prophetic. "I see me other forms waking up. I see the ancient war wasn't won, it was only sleeping. And I see..." She gripped my hand tight enough to hurt. I see us standing in the center of the storm, and the storm is coming now. The howls below faltered. In the distance, thunder rolled where no clouds existed. Rayna turned to me, her eyes clear again, green and gold and terrified and fierce. They called me Heart of all Clans. But Rafe, I think I'm meant to be something else, something older, and I don't know if I'm ready. I pulled her close, feeling the weight of the ring on her finger, the bond between us thrumming with warning. We'll face it together, I said. Whatever's coming. Book 2 of this story. She managed a shaky laugh. Is that what we are? A trilogy? We're whatever we need to be. I kissed her forehead, right where the silver scar waited. Let them come. The conclave, the ancients, the war. We've only just begun. Above us, the stars began to fade, consumed by a darkness that moved with purpose. But in the center of that gathering night, we burned bright. And we were not afraid. End of Book 1. The Heart of All Clans. Book 2. Between Worlds. Book 3. Dark Worlds. Coming soon.